Hey everybody, good morning, happy Monday, happy Victory Monday. We've actually got something to be a little upbeat about today. I don't know how much it means, but I do know that I feel better today than I did the day after the previous three games. So, little bit of a modified schedule today. I don't think I'm going to be able to get the early afternoon video up this particular day because I've got some stuff going on that I think is going to make it difficult for me to get that video up. I'm going to try the best that I can, but it might be a little bit later in the day. Not 100% sure how things are going to go today, but I've got some things going on. So if you don't see me later today in a video, that's why. I am fine. I am not being held hostage or anything like that. Everything's cool. So I want to talk a little bit about a particular player with the Seahawks right now who I kind of see as kind of standing on the fence. When you're looking at this team right now, you can pretty cleanly divide it into the players who are in the final stretch of their time as a Seahawk this year. And then you have the players who are clearly meant for the next stretch. In the former group, you have guys like Bobby Wagner, you have guys like Dwayne Brown. These are guys who are older, they played a lot, and they don't have a whole heck of a lot left in the tank. I know Bobby's still putting up good tackle numbers, but he is starting to slip, and if he is here next year, that's probably the last year. And Dwayne Brown goes without saying. I mean, Dwayne Brown, he's old. He's really old and really not playing that well. And then the young players, you have guys like Darrell Taylor and Damian Lewis, and hopefully DK Metcalf. So I want to talk about a player who could go either way, and I want to see what people think about him right now because we're 8 games in. We're about halfway through the season, and we've got a bye week coming up. We're going to have a lot of interesting things to talk about, but I want to lead things off with a discussion about Quandre Diggs, a player who could be wrapping up his time in Seattle or he could be part of the future. So this video asks a pretty simple question. Quandre Diggs, do you extend him or do you just let him play out the last year of his contract and see what's up this offseason? Which in this scenario probably means you're letting him go. So let me know what you would like. I'll talk about it for a minute, but go down in the comments. Let me know what you would do. So Corbin Smith had this tweet earlier tonight, or excuse me, last night now. Quandre Diggs has 11 interceptions in 28 regular season games since the Seahawks acquired him. Pay the man. This is especially notable because barely anybody else on the Seahawks has gotten interceptions since then. I think Shaq Griffin might have like 3, and he might be in second place. I think that's true. It's ugly, isn't it? It's not good. KJ Wright might have 3 as well, and those two guys might be tied. I'm not 100% sure, but it's something like that. So I said before this season started that Quandre Diggs just had a career year last year when he had 5 interceptions, and it might be. I didn't want to pay him for other reasons, but I said that it's not smart to pay a guy right after his career year if you can avoid it. So let's see what he does this year. Well, I don't know if he's playing like he's the greatest safety in the history of the universe or anything, but he is getting interceptions and he is playing well. So I said that Quandre Diggs was going to be due some money whenever his contract came up, whether we decided to extend it or if someone else decided to offer him something when free agency hits. Well, one way or the other, he's going to get a pretty significant chunk of money because he is on pace to have even more interceptions than he did last year, proving that last year was not a fluke, which to an extent I thought that it was possible that it could have been because the nature of the interceptions that he got were a little strange and a little fluky, I would even go so far as to say. So I wanted to see him do it again. He is doing it again. And because of that, he's going to get paid. Corbin Smith on Twitter also posted a list of the top interception grabbers since 2017. And the only safety who's higher on the list than Quandre Diggs is Kevin Byard over in Tennessee. So yeah, he's getting his money. He's definitely going to get his money. And the question is, should we be the team that gives it to him? So the first thing with Quandre Diggs is age and how is he going to age? So Quandre Diggs is gonna turn 29 pretty soon here. He's gonna turn 29 before the Super Bowl. So next year he's going to be 29, then 30, 31, 32. And the question is, and this is what's going to determine whether or not we should keep him, do you have faith that Quandre Diggs is going to continue to play at a high level at free safety for, I would say, 3 years after the current year? So 29, 30, 31. If you think he can do that, then it makes sense to extend him because the hopefully the team is going to be worthwhile next year, but there's a real chance next year is kind of a reset year. So, with that in mind, is Quandre worth keeping around for after the reset? I already kind of went over the interception numbers, which are the main thing with Quandre, but if you take a look at his play since he arrived in Seattle, you will see a player who has generally played quite effectively. He's had quite, we've talked about the interceptions. He had another one today that is currently not reflected here, but he's got he by far leads the team in interceptions since he got here. He's got over 100 tackles. His coverage numbers since he came to Seattle are quite good. Doesn't allow a lot of big stuff. Occasionally he'll give up a big one, but not any more than you would expect from a really good free safety in the NFL. And he makes up for that by making plays on the ball, and he's one of the few guys we have who is doing that. He doesn't miss very many tackles over the last 2 seasons or season and a half now. He misses about 10%, which is reasonable for a free safety, I think. And PFF is not in love with him. They're giving him a grade so far this year of 61.9, and last year when he made the Pro Bowl, they gave him a 64.2. Ironically, they seem to like him in Detroit more than they liked him in Seattle. If you go back to 2019, when he spent half the year there and half the year here, 76.4, really, really good. 2018 full year with Detroit, 72.7. So I don't know what part of the PFF system is not capturing the Quandre Diggs value here versus what it was doing there. But they don't love him. But having a free safety who can do a good job taking away the deep stuff and forcing quarterbacks to have to slowly matriculate the ball down the field because they can't just go for stuff over the top every play is very important in any defense. And whoever the coaches are next year, whatever the scheme is next year, you're going to need that guy. You're going to need that guy who can drop back into that deep zone and be the last line of defense. And Quandre Diggs has proven that he can do it at a very high level. But at his age, what are you willing to give him to continue to be that guy? Because I've looked at the safety contracts a lot this offseason because, well, we had to go through this with Jamal. But Rayshawn Jenkins, or whatever his name is in Jacksonville, recently got an extension, 4 years, $35 million. And you can argue that guys like Kevin Byard and Justin Simmons, and of course Jamal Adams, maybe even Honey Badger, they're higher profile than Diggs. They're going to get more money than Diggs. But some guy that I barely heard of before in Jacksonville, Diggs is going to get more money than him, right? So if Rayshawn Jenkins gets 4 years, 35, Diggs is probably getting at least 440 or 330, depending on if he wants the shorter term deal. And that's probably your floor. You're probably looking at like 3 for 33 or 4 for 44, somewhere around that 11 to $13 million a year range. And I've talked about it before. Most teams don't spend that much money on safety. So, not knowing what the future holds with this team, would you give the money to Diggs? That's the question I'm asking in this video. Let me know what you think below. I have pretty adamantly been against the idea of extending Diggs because I don't want to invest that much money into safety. I don't think it matters enough for a team's success. I don't think it affects your defense by enough. And I just don't think it's good business, but at the end of the day, if we overpay Jamal Adams, that we shouldn't compound the mistake by not extending Quandre Diggs if extending Quandre Diggs would be a good idea, right? So, what would you guys do in this situation? It's a weird one because technically we don't know who's going to be calling the shots next year. It might be a scenario where we move on from Carroll right after the season ends, bring in somebody else, and they get to make the decision. That would probably be ideal for me anyway, and ideal for a lot of people. But with the information that we have now, should Diggs be extended? Because I'm not there yet, but I'm starting to waver, and I'm starting to think about maybe giving Diggs an extension and locking in this really, really good safety core for at least a few years might be the best path forward because he is playing well. And as we learned with some recent safeties who came through Seattle, those skills are not just something you can find growing on a tree. All right. Talk to you guys later today. Peace out. Go Hawks. I want to hear it. What do you guys think? Should we pay Quandre or not?